You've a knot in your stomach. You hate conflict, but your friends say you need to deal with the problem player. But do you? Maybe next session they'll magically change. No, they won't. I've done it before and I'll do it again. It's time to decide how much bridge to burn. It's time for the chat. We game with friends, family members, other GMs, and sometimes random people off the internet. Game mastering is a lot of work. Less if you've been watching my videos, but still, it's frustrating to see the session that you wanted to have stall and flounder due to the actions of one person who just doesn't seem to be invested in playing like everyone else. The chat isn't something any game master looks forward to. I certainly don't, but it is a part of the GM's job and must be handled differently depending on what the actual problem is. Although, if they're being a creep, then it's simpler. I'll come to that in a minute. If you read any Game Master forum online, there's always lots of posts about problem players, issues at the table, people who are not engaged or disruptive or disrespectful or coming at the game from a wildly different angle, or problem GMs with their weird house rules, favoritism and barely disguised self-inserts. And the suggestions in the replies boil down to one thing. There is no magical fix, no homebrew rule, no clever piece of storytelling that will solve your problems. No. You need to talk to them about the actual issues. That then said, the reply ends almost as if the words, "You need to have the chat," are a magical incantation that casts the spell. Job done. There's precious little advice about what that means, on how to have that conversation. Depending on your social connection to the player or GM, it can need different approaches. Let me get the bad news out of the way first. No one is expecting the chat. And if you frame it as, "You are a problem," they're not going to be coming out of it grateful to have been there. It sucks to say that. It sucks to hear that. But if one person is spoiling the game for everyone else, then it is the game master's responsibility to try to fix that. Which brings me to a question. Are they spoiling it? Whether they're always pushing for a more combat-heavy game and attacking every NPC, or obsessing over the politics they wrote in their own backstory, are they an outlier or a signpost? Talk to the other players, one-on-one, please. Don't set up a WhatsApp group called Everyone Except Carol and check. Would they also prefer the game Carol seems to want? Is it a change you can make? You want to make? Make it! Click the back button on your browser. Job done. See you next video. Otherwise, there's two conversations you can now have. First, where you want to keep the person in the game. The second, where you want to take the person out of the game. Both of these will go much better in person. If you game online, then wherever you do that. But face-to-face is best. And if you're one of the other players, not the GM, send the GM this video and be frank about the issues you've been experiencing. It kinda has to be the GM that does this though. The keep them in chat is tricky. It's an invitation to change, and change is hard. Whether this is someone you're related to, a close friend you see outside of games, or just someone online you've met, it is important to make it clear it's not them, it's how they're playing. Unless they're a creep, and I'll get to those shortly. Keep the conversation one-on-one by explaining how you feel the game isn't going how you want it to. Don't start it with, "Everyone agrees." My suggestion is this. Paint a picture of how you'd like it played and ask them if they can help. Take the lead, in fact. I want combat to be faster. I'm not sure everyone has got to grips with their sheets. Can you help me? If you and I go over what Zargos can do before the session, do you think we can show the others what a quicker combat turn looks like? Do you have any ideas? That question is a great one, especially if they're a veteran player themselves. Ask for their ideas. Of course, if they say, "Hey, it's not everyone, it's just me that always kills the shopkeepers," then feel free to say, "Wait, you're right. Why is that? MurderHobos could adjust. Rule lawyers can turn it down. Main characters might learn to share the spotlight." If they say, "This is the way they always play, the only way they'll play, the only way it should be played, then it's possible you'll find yourself sliding straight into the second version of the chat. That's the take them out talk, which is harder emotionally. Tread carefully, especially if this is someone you need to keep a social connection with, as people can take this personally. Always stress that you believe there is no right way to play role-playing games, just each of us has our own way. And if everyone is having fun, we're playing a game right. And that's the issue here. Make it clear that there's a mismatch of styles. The style of play you're curating in this current game isn't vibing with the style of play they seem to prefer. If you want to throw them a lifeline, you could say you're thinking about a different game stroke system which would more suit their style of play, or suggest they GM and you'd play. Up to you. But what if they are being a creep? That's in some ways almost easier in terms of having the chat. If they're hitting on the other players, making bigoted comments, not respecting the session 0 content clarifications, then message them with a reminder of the table's rules for conduct, and depending on the severity, either that they must shape up next session or just go ahead and drop them. No one wants to be on either end of the chat, so do try to put yourself in the other person's shoes when preparing for it. But if you have to have the chat to save the fun for everyone else, then you owe it to your table to do so. It is part of the game master's duties. Can't everyone just get along and it be possible to have anyone at all brought together at your table? No. Our hobby is wide enough that there will be a table for everyone. But it's so wide that that cannot be every table, and it categorically does not have to be yours. No player is entitled to or owed a seat at your table. It's entirely possible to have a player who would otherwise be a problem decide to drop out themselves, and one of the best tools to precipitate this super early is session 0. I have a video about that already, but what if your game master is the problem? I didn't cover that today. If there's a video of mine that applies, you could sneakily send them a link with a disingenuous, "Is this what a gnome artificer looks like or what? LOL. Or if the problem isn't something I've covered already, then do let me know in the comments downstairs. I'll either reply there or make a video. After 40 years as a game master, I do have a lot of opinions. And if you want to see what they are, subscribe and find out. See you next time.